Dog dies.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
awful.
I remember too. As soon as we were watching, I was like, I think this dog dies.
That's
Yeah.
it's actually the prequel to John Wick. That was his dog.
Was he a good dog?
feel like I
Who can
said
say?
that. Oh yeah.
Who could say?
When I was
Say.
watching Akira, a dog died. Like they shot a dog, and I was like, "That's how John Wick happened."
Oh man.
That's just what I say now whenever a dog dies.
You got to be careful. You don't want to create another John Wick.
No, well,
It's only one.
I would
body,
like that. I like.
That's true. I'm excited for
watching-
John Wick 4. But
Yeah.
okay, so we'll kind of just get into it by.
I just have to start saying things, and then Ben will be like, "I don't know how to start this. It's maybe something like."
That's a yeah. You know what? I'll go with that. I don't know how to start the podcast yet, as you guys know. So it'll either be what we just did, or something like "Welcome to Late to the Movies." My name is Ben Holden. This is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Every week we'll pick a movie that either I or a guest hasn't seen before and really should have by now. This week, continuing summer camp month with our third episode of that theme is Moonrise Kingdom. There are there are multiple camps. It takes place in summer, so I say it counts. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
definitely
some, like,
summer
town
camp.
business.
It's a camp.
There's
It's
houses,
summer.
whatever.
It is definitely summer camp.
Yeah,
I think so.
I've never went to a summer camp, but if I did, I bet it would be like that.
It's more about escaping summer camp, but that counts.
I think we know people who've probably gone to the summer camp, or at least the one. Whatever. We'll get into all that.
Will did.
Will did.
Yeah, we'll do.
we didn't have summer camp in Fall River.
No.
I played in the driveway.
Yeah.
Sometimes
sounds
we went
about
to
right.
Kennedy Park.
There you go. Before we get into it, as always, I like to ask you guys if you've seen anything interesting, fun, whatever lately. I use a different descriptor every time, so, do with that what you will.
Oh, we finished the third season of The Boys.
We did.
Oh, finally. Jeez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it took us. We were a little late on it. We moved. We were busy.
We also wanted to wait for it to all come out so we could binge
Ben
it.
and I watched like multiple seasons in a couple days.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, we just hit it and quit it.
It's a very bingeable
He was
show,
a little
though.
more impressive than me, but I was like 4 episodes into season 2, and then like by the next day, I was like, oh, I'm out of episodes.
Yep.
It's very bingeable.
It is very bingeable.
It's very bingeable, but I honestly don't mind watching that show weekly. I feel like after every episode, it leaves me with a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder how I'd have felt about it if I had watched it like as it was coming out. And I guess for the next season, I'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Robbie did, and he enjoyed it a lot because he
Yeah.
said he was on like Reddit every day after every episode, seeing what people's like theories were and what people thought was going to happen next.
Yeah.
Like that.
I bet that's a lot of the fun of it, that I didn't get that experience because I binged it. So we'll see next year.
I see a lot of screenshots of tweets that are
Yeah.
very amusing.
A lot of tweets. Yeah, all of a sudden, a lot of Homelander reaction gifs on the old Twitter.
Yeah.
I feel like I've watched a lot of stuff recently.
I think that was like all we watched.
Well, this is your second episode of the podcast in a row, so you've had to watch
That's
some
true.
movies.
So I watched 2 movies. We went to go, or we both separately went to go see Nope.
Yeah.
I watched Akira. I watched the rest is I think mostly anime. A lot of stand up too.
Oh, nice.
Pretty much like everything on Netflix. I just try to.
Yeah. We went to see Tim Heidecker recently, too.
Oh, yes, that's right.
still within the last few weeks.
Yep.
That was fun.
Oh, our daughter started watching Camp Cretaceous
Nice.
on Netflix.
More camp movies, I
Mhm.
guess, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Is it
Well,
like a
it's a
children's-
Jurassic Park show.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like a Netflix produced Jurassic Park show.
I guess it's summer camp though, because like it's a bunch of kids going to like camp at Jurassic World.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I feel like I've seen clips of
How
this
does that
on
work out for
Instagram.
them?
Poorly.
Not well.
I mean, yeah,
It is,
If it works out well, it's not Jurassic Park.
right.
It's
yeah.
weird because it seems like the production value on it's like pretty decent. Like they put some money into it, but at the same time, like it's like not good at all.
That's what people are saying about the Resident Evil Netflix series.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, I watched one episode.
Robbie said he liked it, right? But
Yeah.
he
I
likes
mean,
everything.
This is geared
It's one of his best
towards
qualities.
children.
Yeah,
but at
this
this
is
point, I've watched a lot of stuff geared towards children, and you can make good things that are
Yeah,
geared
yeah.
towards children.
Shrek.
It's not that bad, but it's just I think it's like 4 seasons, and it shouldn't be 4 seasons long.
4?
5
5 seasons?
Whoa.
Yeah.
seasons.
How many
how-
episodes?
A lot.
You
Like
know
at
it's not
least 12
good
a
because
season, I think.
none of us have heard of this.
the thing is
Yeah.
it should like it should have resolved itself by now. Like I don't know how these kids are still in trouble.
Is it like actually Jurassic Park canon, or is it just
Yeah, yeah.
a Jurassic
So-
Park type situation?
No, it's literally like they're camping at Jurassic World as the Jurassic World movie is happening. So like
Oh.
Wow. Okay.
things that are happening in the movie, they're like in the background basically. So they're like seeing the events of the movie unfold.
How is that for kids? I guess is what I'm hung up on.
It's very much like it's not for kids. Like it's probably for like
13-year-olds.
no,
No,
younger than
probably
that.
elementary
Okay.
school.
Young elementary school.
Third, fourth, fifth
You never
grade.
see the dinosaurs actually kill anybody, and like the dinosaurs are constantly chasing the main characters, but all the dinosaurs move at
You
like,
just notice that there's less people as it goes on.
kind of the dinosaurs move like at the same speed. Their running speed is the same as all the characters, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know. It's
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know anything about
It's not
that.
good.
People do die, but it happens like off screen. Like they kind of allude to it.
Yeah, like any adult knows that this person was killed, but like I don't know.
I'm just picturing like in my mind the Rugrats, but every episode there's like one less main character, and you're like, don't ask about Tommy.
Nothing bad happens to the main characters ever.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
Oh,
my
man.
God. I was going to go binge it. Have any
It's-
of you guys watched the Resident Evil?
I haven't yet.
No.
I saw it got really bad reviews, and
I
then
saw it got like
I like Lance Reddick,
awful,
though.
awful reviews. I watched the first episode and I was like, that was fine.
Yeah, when I saw like Netflix advertise it to me, I was like, oh, cool. But I won't watch anything like that immediately that Netflix advertises me because they make everything look cool, and then a lot of times it's junk.
I just really like
Yeah.
Resident Evil, so I was
Me
like,
too.
"Oh."
Have you guys ever gone into the movies? All of the however 5 or 6
Yeah,
movies
yeah.
there
I
are?
actually watched more movies than games played.
Yeah, I'm more into
I think I've seen them
yeah.
all.
I haven't seen the more recent ones where it kind of goes off the rails a bit.
Well, how recent? Because maybe I didn't either. I might not even know that they exist.
Well, there was one pretty recently
Oh, then I did not see
that
that.
it's like not the Mia Jovovich one, which is like the main lady who's
Yeah.
been in a bunch of them. It was
Oh.
more of just like adaptation of Resident Evil 1, I think, that just came
Oh,
out pretty
I
recently.
didn't see that. So I think
It
I saw
was-
the first 3, but I want to say there's like 6 of them, Corey,
Oh,
in like the main series.
I think I've seen like 4 of them.
I think Robbie mentioned in the last one, inexplicably, there's like a zombie dragon she fights.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's like Fast and the Furious. You know,
Yes.
they run out of things. Like, we got to make this more intense.
Yeah, there's a 2021 like back to basics one that's called Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. That was
Oh.
actually like in theaters and stuff.
feel like I
it
saw a
has
trailer for that.
30% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, there you go.
So it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
But my understanding is it is sort of like Resident Evil 1.
That's where it was all good still.
I like the game.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, cool. Yeah. What have I been watching? I was going to, in sort of as a companion piece to Moonrise Kingdom, I was going to watch some French New Wave films. Like, I had the 400 Blows in my hand and was like, and then I watched the new Predator movie on Hulu called Prey, and that's what I did with my time instead.
I really want to watch that.
It's super good. I super recommend it. Yeah, it's really good. So it's we talked about in the last episode Dan Trachtenberg, who did 10 Cloverfield Lane, the playtest episode of Black Mirror. He's worked on The Boys. He directed the pilot. And yeah, he's like one of those guys that I've seen a decent amount of his work and I always like it. And it just doesn't seem like he's gotten like a really cool script to make into a movie yet. I hope he does soon because Prey's really cool. I don't know. I don't want to give away too much because there's not much to the plot. It's like one of its better qualities is that it's very simple. There's starting after about a half hour, the remaining 90 whatever minutes is almost dialogueless. It's just like really cool action and it's pretty much just a hunt. It's like a chase.
That sounds pretty
Yeah.
cool, actually.
Like how Fury Road is mostly just a chase.
Mm-hmm.
Same idea, but it's mostly just like a hunt. It's with an all native cast. There's a Comanche dub of it on Hulu, which is pretty cool. It looks awesome. It's set in the 1700s in the Great Plains, I think in like Montana. So it's gorgeous.
It's
And
very interesting.
yeah, the kind of I guess controversial thing about it is it was a Searchlight picture or 21st Century, whatever the pseudonym is for former Fox movies that Disney bought. And if they put them in theaters, then they have to go on HBO Max first. But if they don't put them on theaters, they can just put it directly on Hulu. So because of this like competition and stuff, and Disney not wanting to put one of their movies on HBO Max, even if it means they can't put it in theaters, it's not in theaters. And I don't know. I feel like it would
that's
work.
really interesting.
It's a big action movie that has like lots of like beautiful landscapes and a big sense of scale and stuff. And you got to watch it on your TV, but which is kind of disappointing, but whatever. I hope a lot of people watch it anyway.
You might have sold me on it.
I liked it a lot. Yeah.
I'll add it to the list.
Yeah.
Never
It's
fucking
great.
watched it then.
It's a real good action movie with some cool set pieces. It has a starring performance by an actress who I wasn't that familiar with. I guess she was on Legion, and she's awesome in it. And gets you in and out under 100 minutes. So,
Ooh, that's a big selling point.
yep, yeah, it is.
It's not 3 hours long.
No, it's not. But,
Just for you, Ben, I'll watch this.
okay, cool. So it's with the credits an hour 40. So
Well, are we ready? Can we talk about Moonrise Kingdom?
I'm
we super duper
Born ready.
can.
well, I wasn't born ready because I just watched it a few days ago.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Moonrise Kingdom now. This is the first Wes Anderson we'll be talking about. This is a movie that I saw in theaters, the first Wes Anderson movie I saw in theaters, and I have loved it ever since. How about you guys?
Oh, yeah. So me and Ray watched it together somewhere one time on a cruise maybe or something like
Oh,
that
cool.
at night or something.
Good
and
cruise movie.
Yeah, we had watched it because we had watched the Grand Budapest for Oscars. So we had watched that and we were like, wow, this movie is awesome. And then someone, it might have been you, was like, oh, all his movies are like this. And then we were like, okay. So we like ended up just picking this one and watched it. And that was several years ago now. It must have been like 4 years ago.
And this was new for you, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Watched it on Saturday morning. Yeah.
Nice.
Have you seen any of his other movies?
I think so, but I
Now,
can't-
you seemed really excited to watch this movie. Why were you so excited to watch it?
because I like things that aren't just like everything else, basically. Anything that like branches from the norm and has like some creative aspects, I'm like pretty excited to watch. And
Yeah.
this, like, you know, the coloring in this movie is very unique.
Okay.
Just like it's got a different vibe. I know that's not a very descriptive way of putting it, but like, you know, even without watching a Wes Anderson movie, if you just like have seen clips, you're like, oh, okay, I know what he's about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that we're all going to be saying a variation of I just love the vibe of this throughout.
Yeah.
Before we get too into it, who wants to do a 1-minute plot summary?
I can.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so our movie opens up. Some random narrator tells us the ending of the movie. There's going to be a big storm that's about to wash everything away on this island. Starts out at a little scout camp, the Khaki Scouts. One of the scouts has escaped, Shawshank style, and he's on the run. We learn that he's met a girl who lives on the island. They're running away together because they're both different. No one understands them. And all the other scouts and the police officer are like chasing them down. The rest of the movie is just them being chased down and caught and then escaping, and you kind of learning about their struggles and why they're different and this whole little adventure they go on. And it culminates with this flood happening and them almost jumping into the floodwaters until, you know, this police officer and these other people have kind of come together and kind of help them with the problems they've had throughout the movie. And we get a little bit of a happy ending in the end for the most part.
Well, we don't. He does.
Yeah.
That was pretty much exactly a minute. Good job.
Oh.
I was counting while I was
Nailed it.
talking.
You nailed it. Yeah, this movie, I think, well, a lot of Wes Anderson movies, especially the last several he's done, they sort of, when you're reading about them in pre-production or whatever, jump off the page because of their cast lists. And this movie's no different, obviously.
Fire.
Yeah, it's fire, right? So there's Bill Murray and Florence.
Which, how can you? Bill Murray's.
I know. This is you've done a Bill Murray before. You hated it.
I did hate it last time, but I like Bill Murray.
Oh, I thought you were just gonna say you hate Bill Murray. I was like, oh well.
No,
No,
it
he
was
hated Caddyshack.
I'm gonna have-
Caddyshack.
I'm gonna have to leave, I guess.
I don't know. I did not like Caddyshack.
But yeah, Murray, Frances McDormand,
Mhm.
who's won like 2 of the last 4 Best Actress
Yep.
Oscars, I think, at this point. Bruce Willis, Edward Norton, Tilda Swinton for a little bit there.
Yeah,
at
a
the
little tiny
end,
bit. She sneaks in.
and a lot of other people. But
The son from the nephew from Manchester by the Sea.
yeah, Lucas Hedges,
Yes.
baby Lucas Hedges is in this. But yeah, all that to say, the people who make this movie what it is are the 2 main characters who are both the and introducing people. They hadn't been in anything like this before, obviously.
I don't remember them from like much else. I feel like the girl was in something else.
Well, oddly enough, she's in Manchester by the Sea. She's one of Lucas Hedges' girlfriends.
yes.
And and she stabs Lucas Hedges in this movie.
Yes.
So I guess they reconciled.
But yeah, fire cast. I like basically. I feel like I always love Ed Norton in basically everything. So
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
he's always great.
I
don't know
really
why.
enjoyed him in this too. I really liked his character.
His character's really good. He like takes his little role as, do they just call him Scoutmaster or whatever? Like just the right amount of serious,
Scoutmaster Ward, yeah.
where it's like, especially to like, even when he's looking for Sam in the beginning, he's in his tent. That scene always kills me. And he pulls the little map down, and there's a hole.
Yeah, that's so funny. I feel like
It's
that's
so
so funny. And there's so much of this movie and a lot of across Wes Anderson's movies that are just like so funny and understated. And people are always talking about, not people, I don't mean to straw man this early, but a lot of critics are talking about how his movies are like all form and no soul, really. And it's like, they're so funny though. And there's like emotion and whatnot. But yeah, Jiminy Cricket, he flew the coop. That
Yes.
always makes me laugh so
I
hard.
love too. One of the scouts
It's so
asked-
unnecessary. He's in a tent. You got a
Yeah.
hole in the side. It's so funny.
It's so funny. And the fact too that he did it like Shawshank style like just kills me.
Yeah.
Zipped from the inside.
Yeah. And then like at one point one of the scouts asks him, he's like, What's your real job? He's like, I'm a math teacher. He goes, No. My real job is I'm a scout master or something like
I want to revise my previous answer.
Yeah. Vibes.
I
That
think
I
killed
teach
me.
on the side.
Yes.
That's how Scoutmasters really are. A lot of them. So it killed me.
Yeah, I think there's a thing with both him and Bruce Willis in this movie that they're not really playing to their previous types or stuff that, not really roles that I've seen them in other things. And I feel like there's just a kind of verve to what they're doing. Bruce Willis, especially playing sort of subversion of the ultimate tough guy cop
Mhm.
as this kind of just like sad sack cop.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
sad sack cop. Yeah.
Who's just like, he seems like a nice enough guy, but he's also kind of a loser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like in a bad way, but just like he loses.
Yeah.
He has lost. And most things seemingly in his life. He lives on a small boat.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even have a house.
Yeah, I noticed when
Whoa,
Sam
whoa. Houseboat?
Yeah.
Come on.
It's
When
a
sick.
houseboat, but
when
He
he
can go
lets
wherever he wants.
Sam stay with him for the night and Sam's like sleeping in his bed, Bruce Willis is like just on the floor in the like
yes.
he's just laying on the floor. There's no other spot besides his bed where you could lay in his home.
Yeah. His living situation is specifically designed so no one else can ever share it with him.
Yes, he's like in a little hallway basically.
Yeah.
He's just laying down.
He's in a Brooklyn apartment.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, there's just something about the way for Willis and for Norton that this is just like a pitch that I didn't know they had in their repertoire. And now that we know that Bruce Willis is retired from acting because of his mental condition, I feel like were robbed of a whole second career of him as a character actor doing roles like this because he doesn't really do anything else like this
yeah.
before he's just making like the red box action movies that he's been making for the last like 10 years or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't want to get too far past this though. So you mentioned having knowledge of how Scoutmasters are. Maybe it's time to get into that.
I'm not too much into it though,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you used to work for the Boy Scouts of America.
I did for
Is
a
that
long
is
time.
that the technical name?
Yes. Yep. The Boy Scouts of America.
Cool. How was that?
It was an experience.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie, some of it was filmed at the camp that I used to work at.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it was basically all of I'm forgetting the name of the place now, but the secondary scout camp that they went to.
The Fort Lebanon.
Lebanon.
Yeah,
Fort
Lebanon.
Fort Lebanon. That was all filmed in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the first fort, which is Camp Ivanhoe, is farmland in South Kingston, I think. The most interiors are filmed in a vacant shopping center in Middletown, Rhode Island. A lot of it is in Jamestown, I think. Some of the exteriors. So yeah, it's a movie that was filmed really close to us, and so I think we all deserve ownership of it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Drive to all those places in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's kind
cool.
of funny too, because I don't know, when they were describing the island, they tell you the little map and they show you like all the things about it. It made me think a lot about Prudence Island. You know, the little island in the middle of Rhode Island there, and there's like, I don't know, there's only like 100 people that live there, and you have to get a ferry there. And
That's a real place?
yeah. So it made me I don't know, it made me think of that place.
Yeah, stuff that you can't get there from here. The kind of isolated feeling of a lot of those smaller islands that aren't so much the touristy ones that people go to off the southern coast of New England that we're more familiar with.
Population of 88.
Yeah.
We had this recently. We were my sister and I were going to Bristol, and over the Mount Hope Bridge, you can see a small island that has like a few houses on it, and it's just like a seasonal population. There's only people there in the summer, and same deal. You have to take a ferry there. You can't. There's like no bridges. It's like a once a day ferry or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to those places. That's where like all the movies happen.
I know, right?
Vampires are gonna suck your blood.
Yeah, but it could be this one too. When they talk about it at the beginning, they're like, "Oh, there's only a ferry twice a day," and
oh yeah,
yeah, and not only just like the vampires. What if you like fall out of a tree and break your arm? It's like, well,
you're just
ferry's not here till 5 p.m.
Or someone
it's 11.
stabs you in the kidney with a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
all right, just sit tight. Eventually.
You got to be in tight with the seaplane guy.
yeah,
Guys,
that brings the mail.
I can't even think about this movie without like I'm just sitting here like chuckling to myself right now, thinking about like what I want to say about this movie. It's just like this movie just kills me.
It's so funny.
It's
so
so
good.
funny.
So Susie's played by Kara Hayward, just to have that on recording because I don't think I said it before. And Sam's Jared Gilman. What do you want to say about the movie that's so funny?
I don't know. It just like there's just I feel like every scene, even like just right off the start where they introduce like Edward Norton's character and he's doing like the inspection of the camp.
It's so cool.
It's so good. Even like he's like walking, and we're following along with him. I noticed at some point he goes over to like I forget what he's inspecting, but there's a no smoking sign and he has a cigarette the whole time and he just holds it out like towards where the camera would be like for us, and that's all he does. And he like kind of leans a little bit while he's inspecting their station, and then he goes to look. What are you doing with all that wood? Building a treehouse. The camera like just pans up and it's like 200 feet up. Why'd you build it at that altitude?
Where would you have built it?
Lower. Build it lower.
Lower.
Just like, oh.
And then when they're in it later, like a wall
Stuff's just falling off of it.
the wall just falls off it. They like don't mention it.
Yeah.
I like when he does the other inspection when everybody's gone. He's just like walking through. He's like, wait. He's sitting for like breakfast. He doesn't even notice there's no one there cooking his breakfast. He's like, wait, where's my food?
Yes. Yeah. For some reason, I was really expecting. I've seen this before, but I didn't remember everything. I was expecting for that scene when he walked by all the tents for them all to have holes cut out in them, but they don't.
Yeah.
We also get a good laugh too in the beginning when they're eating breakfast together because it looks like the Last Supper. They all sit on one side of the table.
Oh yeah.
It's so funny.
It's better for the shot.
It's better for the shot. Yeah.
I really love the way like he plays that character. I think
Yes.
because like what Ben said, it's just not really Ed Norton-y, but it's also just very Scoutmaster-like. Like I feel like I know people that do this. Like they do their inspections like this, but I don't know. And they're like, yeah, my real job is Scoutmaster. They're usually a little bit more obnoxious than he is, where this guy seems to be like really like, I don't know,
Down to earth.
good-hearted and like, yeah. A lot of the Scoutmasters I feel like are on a little bit of power trip, but but yeah, I don't know. The inspections and things like that's stuff what they all do with the Boy Scouts, and it's just I don't know. It's really funny watching it from somebody else's point of view.
Yeah. I think that scene's probably a good way to break into the the Anderson look, the way things feel and move, and his camera pans and people facing
I love
directly
it.
at the camera, and then 90-degree angles, and
The color.
A lot of
Yeah.
yellow
Yeah.
in this movie.
this movie's very, very yellow, very golden hued,
Yep. I feel like
very
I'm
nostalgic.
not smart enough to talk about what he does to make this all work, but it really, like, the way the camera moves and stuff is like, it just, I really vibe with it. And
Yeah.
then his whole like production, like the sets are just awesome. I feel like every single thing looks like it's a miniature model. But then every now and then someone will come out of it. I'm like, okay, I guess this is just how it looks. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
every set piece looks like it's like a miniature model of something.
Well, it's like
A lot
almost
of them
whimsical,
I know
but
a
like
lot of them are,
not
but even-
whimsical
Yes.
at the same time somehow.
Even when they're not miniatures, they just look like they are.
Yeah.
I guess to fit in like with all the miniatures.
Yeah, there's definitely a sense of between like the golden hue thing and the kind of almost fantastical parts of it that you can almost imagine that it's like one of these two kids thinking about it today, this thing that happened 60 years ago,
Yeah.
and how they might remember it, how it might look in their mind's eye. But yeah, so there are a lot of miniatures used in the production, most notably, maybe not most notably, but the scene where the dam collapses, they just build like a small one.
Yep.
Just fun. But yeah. So what he does in a lot of his compositions, I'm not a cinematography guy. I didn't pay that much attention in film history class because that wasn't my major. I just had to take it to check it off the box. Now I wish I kind of had, whatever. So his images are very flat. There's not like the background's not blurry. The foreground's not sharper, right? It's all in focus and it's all meticulously designed and balanced, and there's a lot of symmetry a lot of times, pops of color. And yeah, it's a thing that no one else really does. And to the point where there's actually a pretty good SNL parody trailer for a Wes Anderson movie from a few years ago. If you just Google like Wes Anderson SNL horror trailer.
Yeah, his style is so specific. I feel like it'd be really easy to make like little parodies of it.
Yeah, and what a lot of people in the SNL one kind of comes down on is the sort of twee elements. And I mean, there's neither of the Wilson brothers are in this, but Owen Wilson and Tilda Swinton are in a lot of his movies. And yeah, and this one's, I don't know, even though this one's about children and it's about the 60s, it's not that twee. I don't think it's that like cloyingly saccharine as some might suggest his vibe sometimes is. So I don't know. I just love this movie. This is, you mentioned before about the vibe. I think this is the movie of his that I most like being immersed in. It's just like a really cool headspace to be in for an hour and a half.
I think a lot of it comes down to like the comedy in this movie is just like the kind of comedy I really like. I don't know how you describe it. I don't know if you'd say it's dry or just like
Deadpan. sometimes,
yeah. Like,
And it moves on so fast.
yeah, it just keeps going. I love like when when Sam goes to Susie in the tent and he's like, I made you these earrings. He holds them up and they're just like beetles on fish hooks. And he's like, are your ears pierced? She's like, no, just pierce them. And it cuts to her like screaming as he's putting this thing in, and she looks at it. She goes, I love it. Do the other one.
Yeah, with the line of blood trickling down.
It's
Yeah.
dropping down.
But they never give you like any time to react to it. They just move on.
Yes, it just happened and it keeps going.
Yeah.
Everything's just so intentional.
Yeah.
Like to the point
very
where,
matter of
even you
fact.
said it
It
was
is.
filmed very flat in the sense of like, I imagine he wants you to see everything.
Yeah.
Like even
He does.
like he doesn't want to blur the background because he meticulously laid out the background. So
Yeah.
which is interesting because normally when you film things flat like that, it doesn't look as good. Like it doesn't feel, as like dynamic. It's just like I don't know.
Yeah, he's
It doesn't work normally. Normally that's just bad.
He's
cameraing.
breaking all the rules. You're not supposed to have characters square up to the camera. You're supposed to be at like an angle and showing depth. He just doesn't care about that.
Yeah. I think it works. It's very cohesive. It all it's
all fits.
consistent too. It's like
Mm-hmm.
so it just really all kind of works together.
And of all his movies, maybe this and Budapest are the ones that I feel like really do build to like a real climax in a way that some of his kind of don't. And I really like just the way this movie moves. I just love it.
Yeah, it's paced really well. I've only ever seen this one in Grand Budapest for his movies, and I absolutely love both these movies.
Yeah, those are two of the top 3 or 4 for me easily. So you're hitting the highlights, no doubt.
I think I actually saw that dog movie.
Isle of Dogs.
I
Isle of Dogs. But if you say it fast, it sounds like I Love Dogs.
Yeah, I thought you were just saying I love dogs.
Yeah,
and
I guess that's the joke of it.
Which is funny.
Yeah. I liked that movie. It's kind of divisive, I guess, because it's his second stop motion movie, and it's probably not as good as Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I still liked it.
I haven't seen that.
That one's good too. I like all his movies, but so I guess it's a good time to talk about the kind of book on him when this movie came out is that not his first movie, but that's Bottle Rocket. Then Rushmore with younger Jason Schwartzman comes out, and that's sort of Bill Murray getting into a dramatic zone for one of the first times that a lot of audiences had seen him in that. And he just kind of explodes, and people are like, oh, this is the kind of heir apparent to all this kind of arty vibe, but it's pretentious and unpretentious at the same time. It's sort of funny, but also serious. It's kind of childish, but also mature all at once. And then by the time this movie comes out, people had thought he had kind of squandered it. A lot of people don't really like what he did in between. There's a lot of detractors of like The Life Aquatic and Darjeeling Limited, for instance, are the two that people probably mention the most. Even though I like those movies, I can see what people are saying with that. Royal Tenenbaums I like a lot too, but it's the same deal. People like it, but they're like, it's not as good as Rushmore. But I feel like this is when he kind of recaptures it. Since then, he's also made Grand Budapest, Isle of Dogs, most recently French Dispatch, another one coming supposedly at the end of this year or next year. And yeah, so I don't know. So when this movie comes out, there's a lot of people who are kind of doubting him, and this sort of sets them straight, I guess.
I'm glad. It was a good movie.
Yeah, me too.
I like Susie's whole like family dynamic.
Yeah.
The fact that the two parents are lawyers and just like talk to each other with legal jargon the whole time. Even when they're like, they have their like emotional moment, they're still like doing it through like weird legal jargon.
It's just who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their like pillow talk is, did the judge grant the continuance in the whatever case?
Yes.
Yeah. That's another thing there. It's just introduced with them like calling each other counselor and
yes,
just in like the most mundane situations, arguing like they're in a courtroom. And it's like funny, but there's like depth to it as it goes that isn't always given credit to Wes Anderson movies. There's a depth there, even though it's a pretty simple story with the two parents. I just think that scene when it's nighttime and the storm's starting up and you hear like get outside and Frances McDormand says we're all they've got, and Bill Murray says it's not enough, and they just like leave it there. You're like, okay, that's a cool scene.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. There's a lot of tragedy in all of these, in like every adult in this movie's life, besides maybe Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
Or I guess there is a lot of tragedy in her life, but it does not bother her.
She is the tragedy.
Right. She like is the tragedy.
She is social services.
Yeah, I like too that her name
Her name
is
is social services.
She just personified
Yes.
social
Yes.
services.
And if you've met any like social worker, they just in the highest couture at all times, wearing capes and whatnot to their day job.
But yeah, I really like Bill Murray in this.
Yeah.
It's nice because I hated him last time on the podcast. So.
Well, yeah, and his runs, I guess, I don't know. He was like semi-canceled, I guess, and I'm pretty sure he was replaced on the Wes Anderson movie that's being made right now. So I don't know. I guess that run might be over because he was inappropriate on a couple film sets, I guess.
Oh, I think I remember hearing something.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, dude, this movie's great.
I feel like this is kind of a different role for him too. I mean, he's done like some things like this, but it was very like depressed and dry the whole time,
Yep.
So this is 2012. We should mention this is the 10-year anniversary of this movie is 2022. And in the 10 years since, I don't think it's aged at all, but this is post Lost in Translation for Murray, I think. And obviously post Rushmore, like we mentioned before.
I think All I can think of when I think of Bill Murray in this movie is when they find the kids on the beach and the kids like unzip the tent and see them all coming. And Sam hurries to like zip the
Zips
tent.
it back up.
And Bill Murray just picks the whole tent up.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that too. His character is just like maybe drunk, maybe just dazed, walking around in like an impotent rage and like yelling and stuff, and then just like immediately getting sad and trudging away.
At one point too, he's got like a black eye, and they're real quick about it.
Yeah,
and people are like, "What happened?" And he fell, and then the Bruce Willis asked the wife, he's like, "Did you do that?" She's like, "No, he actually fell. He was looking for her in the dark. She took the extra batteries from the flashlight."
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Because she had mentioned that she had extra batteries too earlier.
Yeah.
She did. I don't know. Those jokes, they go right to my funny bone. I can't.
Every
I can't
time,
handle them. Everything.
And it's
so
not even
funny.
it's not even like a joke to part of that scene, but when Frances McDormand and Bruce Willis are talking about like, oh, he's on to us, and she's like, aren't you worried? She's like, of course I'm worried. You between them in the background, you just see Bill Murray like on a bicycle, like trying to balance or whatever. Like there's no joke to the scene.
Mm-hmm.
There's a kind of like heightened, somewhat affected way that all the characters are speaking to each other constantly throughout the movie that has like some comedy to it, but there's not a joke. There's not a punchline there.
I'm still laughing though.
I also like that. Like you don't notice it, but it's kind of high stakes too, because the whole time they keep referring to the fact that they're gonna like give the kid electroshock therapy, because that's what brings like all the
they eventually get to that.
Yeah, all the other scouts like come and join him eventually, and it's when they're like, "Why are we always so mean to him? He's a poor orphan boy. We can't let him get his brain zapped or whatever."
Yeah, and of course he is hit by lightning twice in this movie.
Yes, and he just gets up every time. He goes, "I'm fine."
Yeah. Oh god. So that first time he gets hit by lightning is after at the end of the Fort Lebanon sequence where they go see Jason Schwartzman, who they try and pay with $76 worth of nickels.
Yes,
That's my fee.
That's my fee. Yeah. So are there like 30-year-olds that are kind of just mixed in with the kids like he was in that movie?
I mean, if they're like a counselor, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know if he was.
He just
seems like he was just around
in there.
It's
Like,
like-
Yeah.
no,
I like how serious he was, and he was just down for all of it. He was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, legally you can't do that, but you know, I'll do what I can."
Hey, before you answer again, you go buy the trampoline and you think about this for a minute.
They come
they're
back,
like-
"We're ready." Okay.
Yeah. And they're like, it shows them like at the trampoline, and there's like a kid just jumping on it in the background.
Yeah, that kid is legitimately a state champion trampoliner.
That
According to the
trampoline-
special features. I don't know if it's...
That trampoline is not there in real life. I'm very disappointed about that.
Oh,
Yeah. He just like... I don't think you could let kids do that. Because
No. That's a
he does
huge
jump
liability.
from like the tower of the building onto the trampoline.
Yeah.
He's like 15 feet in the air.
Doing flips and stuff, yeah.
I don't know it too. It's real quick, but before the scene where the other scouts are like hunting him and they catch up with them, and he's
We're jumping all over the place,
Yeah.
but you should... As with every episode, you should watch the movie before you listen because we're just going to spoil.
Yes. When they finally meet up with him and they have the scene where he's like, "You won't cross this line," and they like run at him with a motorcycle and the dog, and they got like a hatchet and a bow and arrow. And I love that they just cut to like a little like comic. It was like a little pow kind of thing, and then it shows like the scissors and there's like some noise,
Yeah.
and then it shows like the kids are running off and one of them's bleeding, and
Yep.
The
They're
dead
in-
dog.
yeah, the dog's been shot and the motorcycle's in a tree.
She said something like, "I get carried away" or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Earlier, then they've been kind of like comparing emotional scars or whatever. Or in their correspondence montage, she talks about how she like has a temper or whatever.
Yes.
But then you see like she's straight up stabbing kids
But-
without much second thought.
I love this. So she stabs him, and it just keeps coming back because when it shows him going to the hospital, they're like, "Oh, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He was just stabbed in the kidney or something." And when they talk to him later, she's like, "He stabbed a boy" or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, he's fine. He's just gonna have a little bit of kidney dysfunction," and they just keep going.
Yeah.
And then like at that chase scene at for Lebanon. It starts because he bumps into the kid in the med tent. And he's got like the patch on his kidney, and it's like bleeding. And when they go to fight, I don't know if you noticed.
Oh yeah,
he just stabs him in the kidney.
Punching him directly in the Yeah,
smart move. Honestly,
there's something that I like a lot about this movie that feels true that doesn't happen in a lot of movies that feature kids, which is the kids are all like kind of weird and kind of brutal. Yeah, and I feel like that is. I mean, this is set in the 60s, but thinking about it a lot in The Black Phone, the movie that just came out set in the 70s, the same thing. And like a lot of Stephen King books, there's kids that are just beating the shit out of each other, which like doesn't happen that much in like current modern movies and stuff.
Boy Scouts are tough.
Yeah.
When they
and it's like you can tell he's smart, and he's immediately just like, well, you have an open wound. I'm just gonna wail on it.
Yes, when they're
pretty brutal.
I think at one point they described the fight that we don't get to see to the Scoutmaster, and he says, "I'm like, oh, he was quick. He dodged my tomahawk."
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot I missed. Like I don't think I noticed that.
It just
They're
goes
just
by so
they're
quickly.
just really quick
Yeah.
little like
all the lines like that. There's not like a big reaction or
it's not like other characters laugh or anything. He just says it and then they just keep on going.
and it's not like modern comedies where someone turns to the camera and goes, "Well, that happened."
Yeah,
Where you
exactly.
just
They
hear,
just say it and they just keep going. He was quick. He dodged my tomahawk.
Awkward.
I feel like I missed a lot of jokes because I'm still laughing from the one that happened previously.
Yeah.
So
No, the first time we watched it, what killed us for a long time, we kept referencing it, and it is not really that funny, is when he's fishing for the turtle, and he scoops it out with the net, and he takes a turn, and he goes, oh, like, someone already wrote their name on this one, and he just tosses it back in the river.
It said like Daniel or something underneath it.
Yeah. It's so funny.
It like killed
Yeah,
me.
it's just a weird thing.
it's so weird.
It's just so weird. They never say
It
anything
doesn't
else
really
about
mean
it.
anything. It's
No.
just
Yeah. There's this section we're talking about the things that made us laugh, so it's cohesive even if we're jumping around plot wise. When Bruce Willis and Bill Murray get back to the house and Frances McDormand runs out and goes, "She has a pen pal. They planned it together," and she shows Bill Murray the letters, and he goes, "What is this?" She's like, he does watercolors, mostly landscapes, but some nudes.
some nudes.
And Bill Murray looks at it and goes, "She's sit for this?"
It's so funny.
And they just move on.
Yeah.
It's just such a funny.
Mostly landscapes.
I just
some
love that
nudes.
he just paints and he's like, I'm gonna paint you nude. It's
Yeah.
like, did you watch the Titanic or something? Or
His Sam's character is just like so good because like just the way he's a child, but like the things he says obviously are not things a child would ever say, and like I don't know, the way he like delivers all his lines, it just kills me. Like the dog one, was he a good dog? Who's to say?
Yeah, he has this kind of like manner of speaking too that it's like kind of stilted, but it's both of them are not giving like leading actor performances really. They're both like very awkward, but in a way that feels like there's an emotional truth to it.
I'm pretty sure they're like like portraying non-neurotypical children,
Mm-hmm.
They're
which
definitely
would
supposed
be
to be
very like awkward and
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
stuff
how the
anyway.
characters are.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's why they're like kind of drawn to each other. Is
Yeah.
they're both, you know, a little different.
Which
Yeah.
is cool. There's a roller coaster of emotions with that. Like you're like, oh man, this sucks. Like this kid's got no friends. He's like escaping on his own, and then you're like, oh, he met someone.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
feel like it makes it hit harder too when all the kids are like, "Why are we such dicks to him?
Yeah.
Just because he's a little different, you know? We can't let his brain get fried." And you're like, "Oh, this is this is nice that they like."
Yeah, but before we knew he was a disadvantaged orphan.
Yeah, they didn't know you. Yeah,
Like, oh, I thought you were just weird. But you're weird and an orphan. We'll help you.
I love that first call that they have with social service. Oh, not with social services yet. When they called what they think is his parents, and he's just like, "Yeah, we're not going to be able to invite him back." And they're like, "What?"
There's no cause for alarm.
every time Bruce Willis is on the phone, it's like just
Yeah.
the way he like talks and like he's like confused the whole time he's on the phone with everybody.
And again, a subversion, right? Because his most famous role, John McClane, that's him being a badass over a walkie-talkie, and this is him being like just sort of a loser over
Yes.
a radio.
Now he's a loser over radio.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was sad too because it's his dad, his foster parents being like, yeah, we can't come back. And I think like the next scene is him with Susie on the beach being like, I think I really fit in this time. You know,
So sad.
I think things are really turning a corner with my foster family.
He says we finally feel like a family.
Yeah, we finally feel like a family.
And that happens like 40 minutes after you know that that he's never going to see them again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing where it's like, it's pretty fucked. There's a lot of darkness in here, which I really, really like.
Yeah. Yeah. The Susie having like the book too. I forgot what it said on it, but dealing with your emotionally disturbed child or something like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
And he laughs at her and she gets real mad.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah. That was pretty funny, actually.
Yeah. I like that he doesn't really apologize, he just goes, I'm on your side.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I did like that too, because it's like, you know, they don't totally understand each other either. You know what I mean? Because he laughs at her, and then later on she says something about how she wishes she could be an orphan. He's like, you don't know, you know.
Well,
you're wrong.
Yeah. I love you, but you don't know what you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
She just says, I love you too.
Yeah.
So unrealistic.
Yeah. That conversation is so good.
Mm-hmm.
That's all in the same conversation when they were on top of that rock and talking about like what do you want to be when you grow up and it's just all that whole beach sequence when they're at what you later find out they call Moonrise Kingdom, Tidal Inlet 5.3 or whatever it's called. Yeah, that whole sequence is just like fucking magic. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, the way they talk to each other is just like not like anything else.
Yeah.
You know.
It's also right around there too that one of the things that kind of surprised me with this movie is while they're there, the Scoutmaster and Bruce Willis and, you know, her parents are all trying to figure out where they could be. And the narrator from the beginning shows up. And I feel like that always threw me off that like
he's in this,
that he like has a role in the film. He's not just like some guy who gave us a little bit of exposition in the beginning and like sprinkled throughout. I'm like, oh, he's also like a real character. And that just makes it so much weirder. You know what I mean?
He also looks like a grown-up gnome. Like if you were to take a gnome but then made the gnome taller, that's what he reminded me of.
So that's legendary character actor Bob Balaban, and there's a featurette on the Blu-ray. I promise I'm not trying to make you borrow it, where one of the people who worked on Fantastic Mr. Fox, one of the French filmmakers who worked on Fantastic Mr. Fox with Wes Anderson, followed the production around and took like his own video and cut it into like a 20-minute like short documentary. And I forget the exact turn of phrase, but he's speaking in French and he says that basically Bob Balaban's outfit inspired so much jealousy from everyone on set because they all thought he looked so cool and no one else got to look that cool. And he's got like that
pretty sweet.
He's got that like fire engine red pea coat and he's wearing like fingerless gloves and that green hat. And, you know, you're reminded like this is the middle of the summer. And summer in New England, you don't need that.
No.
It's probably breezier and a little cooler on a small island, but still.
Unless you're a gnome.
But yes, I always liked that weird playing with the fourth wall thing where he's the narrator, but also
he exists in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, that it's so weird.
And I guess also is an instructor and like he
Cartology.
Right, yeah. He gave him the cartography badge or whatever he says.
Yeah.
Cartology or Corsa.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great map movie.
It is. Every time they show the map, I'm like real into it. I don't know why.
It is good
but
map.
I really
So
like
tactile.
that. It is.
One of my favorite all-time maps. And one of my favorite all-time map moments is when they're in the canoes at night, which is an amazing looking scene anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes to the map and the map's in night mode.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh wow.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Are there other good map movies? I know we have good stair movies.
Oh yeah, Sleepless in Seattle
Yes.
is a really good one.
This one's better.
Raiders of the Lost Ark is a good map movie.
Oh, that is a good one. Yep.
I just liked when I get to
Almost
see
Heroes, good map movie.
Yeah.
when you get to see a map. I feel like it really gives me an understanding of where like the characters are and like the geography and like the limits of the world. And I don't know, I like it a lot.
I think it was important
Super
for this
cool.
movie too, because
Yeah,
there was
it's
just
a real sense of place.
yeah.
The Road to El Dorado.
Yeah, for a fictional island, I
Just
feel
thinking of
like
any movie that has a map. All right.
yeah.
Next thought.
For a movie about a fictional place that they didn't film on something that was necessarily equivalent, they pieced it together from sets and different exterior locations around Rhode Island, I guess. It really does feel like a cohesive, this feels like the island. When they show them on the map and when they show the characters in that location, like, yes, that totally matches what I feel like that should look like.
Mhm. Yeah, it was a very believable island.
Yeah.
And for Lebanon's like on a separate island, right? They had to
Yes.
go across like a little,
Yeah.
some kind of body of water to get to it, right? Yeah.
I don't know if it's an island. It might be like mainland.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a separate.
Yeah.
It's not connected.
Right. So while we're talking about the map and how fun and tactile that feels, another big thing in Wes Anderson movies are close-ups of stationery, letters, correspondence, and this has an all-time great correspondence montage when they finally find the letters, and then it goes into the back and forth between Sam and Susie. That's kind of cut off at like the TikToks that you see, like perfectly cut screams and whatever. It's like perfectly cut mid-sentence right at the funniest parts, pretty much. And
Yes.
it has such a rhythm. It's rat-a-tat, man.
Yeah,
It's
and
big
I
buck.
like that
It's free
their
jazz.
letters they send are like text messages, kind
Yeah, one of them was
Yeah.
like, no,
Yeah.
not
When?
really.
When?
When?
Question
Yeah,
mark.
when?
Where?
Where? Yeah. Yeah, they're very much like text messages, but they're letters instead.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was a good sequence.
Yeah, it is, and it has a lot of like pathos to it too, because it's talking about you get where they are in their correspondence and how it's building and stuff, and there's just like the snippet of I think you should think of their faces every day, right into like her like just there's like a paired back to back where they both start a fight with someone.
Mhm.
It's great.
Yeah, it's really good. Even like the whole like flow of that, where because it starts with he's run away and we don't know what's going on, and then it's slowly building to like him meeting her, and then us finding the letters and figuring out they are making this connection, and then it ends, I think, with them meeting in that field.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's around the same time, but
So
That's where
there's
Might have
the
flopped.
adventure starts.
yeah, that's where their adventure starts, but that sequence doesn't play out till they find the letters later.
oh yeah.
But that's kind of chronologically, but in the movie that is how it goes. But it's nighttime when they find the letters, and then they cut to them in the field, and that was like earlier,
Yes.
I guess.
Yep.
And then it shows you that day into night from their perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it feels like more days than are actually there because
Mhm.
it shows you the adults all day looking for them, and then their day, I guess.
Well,
I might have that wrong.
Yeah,
but
I like how he found her though. He just walked into the like woman's dressing room. It was like,
It
what
seems
kind of bird
great.
are you? And they're like, well, he's like, no, you.
Yes.
I love that. What kind of bird are you?
Yeah.
And childhood is just figuring out what kind of bird you are, right?
Mhm. But then she gets downgraded to a blue jay or something after she beats
Yeah.
somebody up.
So
right?
funny. Yeah.
That's
It's,
one of the letters, right?
And I'm joking. That's just some of my projecting faux pretentiousness onto it. Yeah, that's just like a funny line to deadpan. It's like, yeah, got replaced.
There's so many people in that production of Noah's Ark.
Yes, she laughs every time because when Sam like leaves, there's like a huge line of animals like all
Yes.
in pairs for there.
He's just like, interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's just Wes Anderson showing off with all these different like weird costumes and all the different colors going on. Sam walking through, and there's always just people doing something funny or strange in the background or just hanging out or whatever.
They're doing the budget for the film, and they're like, why do we need 5 costume designers? It's like, don't worry about it. Like, they're all just wearing Boy Scout clothing, right? Well, we need about 45 animals
Yeah.
in pairs.
Yeah.
They're all
We
different.
want this to be biblically accurate.
Yeah. It's in pairs though, so it's only actually like 25 different ones.
Yeah.
That's a good on ramp to talk about the music in this movie, which I think is really unique and really wonderful. It's
I don't even
Um,
remember the music.
so it's Alexander Desplat is the actual guy who's doing the music and the composer who worked on it, and he is getting a big assist from Benjamin Britten is the composer that the child recording keeps saying, and now Britten brings in the tuba and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Alexander Desplat, who's worked with Wes Anderson a bunch of times, taking from the Britten operas and fugues and sort of infusing that all together. And the kind of like the children's chorus, or the children's choir rather, that is sort of omnipresent throughout the movie. And that kind of like twinkly, sort of almost classical kind of vibe with the repeated use of that weird song about like the Indian maid at the general store or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
I just think it's really cool. The music in this is, I don't always super notice music because I just sort of absorb it.
Mhm.
But having watched this one a bunch of times, that's one of the things I pick up on later viewings.
Yeah, I've only seen it the 2 times, and I feel like the music isn't something that usually stands out to me, but I feel like it's because there's just a lot going on in this movie.
Well, it gets really intense at some points, you know, like their little wedding scene that they have, and
Mhm.
I don't know. There's certain points in the movie where it's real intense, and the music is wicked intense to kind of match it.
I like that slow motion flourish when they're coming out of the, I guess, chapel.
Yeah.
But they forgot the binoculars. You had to go back.
Mm-hmm.
They would have made it to that shrimp boat.
Like the fact that that's like the plan. You're gonna go live on a shrimp boat.
Yeah.
It's the dream.
Yep. I love that. Like,
So I think Jason Schwartzman is just supposed to be like a large child, I guess, because it's a
assumed
terrible idea for an adult to have.
I assumed he's supposed to be like 17. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
With
know
a
though.
full porn stash.
The full force.
And this is what, the year after Scott Pilgrim, or 2 years after Scott Pilgrim or something?
12. It's around that.
That's my fee.
That's my fee. There's just so much happening, I feel like, in this movie.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's so much happening with like all the characters too. Because I feel like all the characters have like just so much going on with them, you know, between like the affair and like the marriage, and then them trying to deal with Susie, and even like Ed Norton is like, he has this little arc about him like not confident in his scoutmastering abilities, you know what I mean? That like culminates with him like jumping into the flaming building.
A stunt he performed himself, I think.
After, and I like that the other guy just rips his like badge off him.
I'm
Got
field
stripped of
stripping
his
you of your
rank.
command. Yeah. The other guy there is Harvey Keitel wearing shorts. Very funny. He looks weird in shorts, man.
Mm.
It's like, that's the wolf from Pulp Fiction. Shouldn't be wearing shorts.
Now that you put it that way.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. Cool movie. Yeah. One thing I do would want to, like, actually a sequence I want to kind of draw in on. Two came to mind as I was setting up this sentence. So first off, just to keep it chronological, I really love the kind of paired conversations when Susie goes back home and Sam's in the boat. Susie talking to Frances McDormand, and the kind of conversation they have while she's in the bath.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bruce Willis not really knowing how to talk to kids and just like getting Sam drunk.
Yeah, giving him booze.
And those are both really, really cool sequences that are just don't feel like, you know, there's those scenes aren't really in other movies that also feel like this, because nothing else feels like this. I don't know how to put it, but I just really liked those scenes.
It is interesting because it is like, they're like kind of like emotional scenes, which is odd because so much of the movie is just like hilarious. But they are really good, especially like Susie with her mom, and like, you know, you can tell the mom's like kind of trying, but like, you know, can only do so much.
Sucks.
Yeah, she's like doing her best kind of thing.
I feel like in a worse movie, they'd be having like a screaming match. And when she says like, I hate you, and she says, you just say that because you're trying to hurt me. And she goes, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I know what you do with that sad, dumb cop.
Yeah.
He's not dumb. I guess he is sad.
Yes.
Gotcha. I like that Bruce Willis, well, his name's not Bruce in the movie, but the cop was just treating him like a normal person, which I feel like is what he needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like that's how, like,
yeah, for
you
sure.
know, he, instead of everyone else being like treating him different because he's, you know, different, he was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, here's some beer.
You want a
let's-
slug?
This is how this works, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna treat you like a person, and
Yeah.
he'll probably turn out way better that way.
Yeah, you see,
Yeah.
he just feels so bad for him, and he just wants to
Mhm.
give him some connection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like it's a really good scene because they really both are kind of getting what they need. You know what I mean? Because even Susie's mom is like, she's not doing the best, but at least she's not being like, her kid just ran away and stuff, and she's not like being a dick. She's
Yeah.
not like yelling at her kid or anything. She's just
She's
like
not grounded or anything.
yeah, you know what I mean? She's just talking to her and stuff.
Yeah, and I love the last scene that Frances McDormand and Bruce Willis have together, where she says, like, I have to try and I have to be better for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, but not for me. He goes, yeah, not for you.
Yeah.
He goes, I think you will be. And like, that's it. And those scenes are very common in like mumblecore indie movies, but this is like the furthest thing from that, just about vibes wise sometimes. So it's just cool to see that so effectively deployed here. And then the last sequence that I wanted to talk about, the climax of the movie when the floods come and they've all run to the church. And that whole thing's really cool. I like that color blue when it's all blue when they're on the roof.
Mm.
Very big contrast to the yellow.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's dark and blue, and everyone's yelling, and yeah, it's like an actual like dramatic climax to
Yes.
this movie, and it really is. It's an interesting move,
And they've
I kinda love
accepted
it.
potential death to jump off. They were like, well,
Yep,
yeah, we might die, but I guess,
worth it.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and I like that like Bruce Willis is like arguing with social services over like the walkie-talkie the whole time, and Bill Murray and Frances McDormand are like giving him like legal advice over the walkie-talkie and like
Yeah,
telling social services like how they're gonna like win this legally and things like that. And like I don't know, it is nice because it's like all our characters are like together, they're all working together, and like
yeah, and I think we all remember that feeling of just like, I don't care, I'll die right now.
Yes.
Like this matters more to
Mhm.
me than living
yes.
tomorrow.
Mhm. How old he's supposed to be? What, 12?
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be 12.
He's like 12 going on 40.
yeah, 12 going on 40.
Yeah, old souls.
Yes. Mhm.
That's what they called kids before they developed proper diagnoses. I think.
Yes.
Yes.
That's very
Mhm.
true.
It's so true.
But yeah, and yeah, kind of happy ending. That ending sequence is really when the music they just hit you over the head with the children's choir, and it's such very, very cool.
I like how he just has to like climb out of her window and escape.
Yeah,
It's like the parent, like her dad probably still hasn't accepted him.
no,
But I bet they like know,
I assume
Yeah, I
they
assume they
knew.
but they
No.
pretend to be upset with
That's
him.
what I assume too, because
yeah. They see the cop parked outside.
the
Yeah.
Bruce
Sure,
Willis
it's the
is
middle of the
waiting
day.
outside during the day.
Also,
know what
how
I
do you
mean?
not hear someone else? Like they're probably talking. It's a house. They don't have like
Yeah,
a lot of electronics, really.
Yeah.
and they're all sitting like at the table. They probably see him drop by the window.
I assume they know, and it's like the idea is that like things are better for both of them because he has like a good foster parent, and I assumed her home life has gotten better because they're kind of letting this happen, and they're calling her for dinner, and she comes right away, like because they say something like because I think there was an earlier scene where she doesn't come down or something like that,
Mhm.
so I thought it was her like kind of trying to
They're good for each other.
yeah.
I love how the mom uses the megaphone all the time too.
Yeah.
You guys said once you finish that basement, it's 3 floors. You're gonna
Gotta
need that
get it,
megaphone.
Definitely in the megaphone.
I like that scene of him like dressed as the cop, like leaving, because it made me think of the mom having the affair, like with the cop sneaking
Yep.
around. You know, So
Absolutely.
it was just like a mini version of that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it's a great ending to the movie. And yeah, it feels like kind of bittersweet. I don't know why, because the whole movie feels bittersweet because it's this whole, this golden summer thing that, it has to end eventually, but whatever.
And now,
Susie has tetanus.
Definitely. Yeah. It's like- yeah. That feels like a very true moment when Frances McDormand's like, how are we going to get these fish hooks out of your ears?
Yes.
Ugh.
that's the whole purpose of hooks. They're supposed to stay in there.
Yeah.
Ugh,
How you break off the end, right? If you
Um,
can.
yeah.
I know people who've had stuff like that happen to them. You use pliers because you cut the
Oh yeah.
the sharp part and then you pull back.
Yeah. You got it.
No, she's keeping him forever.
But yeah, I love the the finish where it makes you think that he's like doing a portrait of them or whatever, but he's just painting, the beach.
Yes.
with the Moonrise Kingdom rocks.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really nice ending.
Yeah. Great movie.
I'd give it 4.5 beetle earrings out of 5.
Yeah, let's get into it. What do you think?
Oh,
Ooh, what do I think? I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 Shawshank Escapes.
Ray, you got one?
I think we'll go 5 out of 5 cans of nickels.
5 lefty scissors out of 5.
Oh.
I love this movie. So there is a quote from Wesley Morris. He was still working at the Boston Globe when he reviewed this movie. And he says, the achievement here is the marriage of that resonant pathos with Anderson's peerless sense of graphic design. You see all his influences, the French movies and Norman Rockwell to start with. And he's seen those films and paintings and wanted desperately to climb inside them. Anderson inspires the same gluttonous spectatorship. You want to eat his movies. You want to wear them. And that's how I feel about this movie, pretty much.
I just feel
just
like
want to hang out in it.
I just feel like this movie does everything it wants to do perfectly.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't. No notes.
Yeah. I can't tell you anything I'd ever change about this movie.
Yeah. I love it. I love the style, everything about it.
You do have to be into the you got to vibe with it. You got to be into its style.
It is its own thing. Yeah.
It's very specific, I think.
Yeah. Yep. I think I don't know. I probably still love Grand Budapest more.
I do.
I
like Grand
when I'm watching this movie, I can't imagine liking another movie more than it. But yeah, I think I
probably watch that movie.
You got to watch Grand Budapest Hotel if
so
you haven't.
good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I do think it's better than this. And
man.
I love this movie.
I really-
I wouldn't say like blows this out of the water or anything. It's like the same kind of vibe and style and stuff, but I don't know what it is. I think it's the duo in it. It's another duo going on a little adventure.
Yeah.
I like them a little bit better than I like Susie and Sam,
Yeah.
is what I think sells me the movie.
Mm.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think Rushmore's probably still his like crowning achievement, maybe, but
gotta
we'll
see
see
more
as
Wes
time goes
Anderson.
on.
We always say that too, because we've only seen the 2 and we love both of them.
Mhm.
We'll do more of him soon. That one's set at a school, and we do need to do some school movies in the fall. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Mean Girls?
that'll be coming up. That'll be coming up soon.
Oh, everybody's watched it though.
Yeah, who hasn't seen
Well,
Mean
that's
Girls?
the problem.
Like,
Yeah.
I think Ravi's even seen it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's the real barometer.
We're gonna have to
Yeah,
get like
Ravi's seen
a 13-year-old to get onto the podcast.
Yeah, I need someone really old or someone really young. Yeah, so those scores that we just did, that's for our Letterboxd page. You can find that on letterboxd.com. Search for Late to the Movies. That's the number. Same deal with the Instagram, Late to the Movies _podcast. Gmail's Late to the Movies at gmail.com. You can find us on Podbeans and nowhere else. I think also Stitcher, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TeePublic. We have a storefront. Greg's face is on one of the shirts. There's only a few left. We've already sold several thousand. And that's pretty much it. I don't know. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
I usually try and think of like a good bit, but I don't know. I just like this movie a lot. So
It's so good.
It's a great movie, and I gotta pee.
oh, okay. Let's go.
You can use my bathroom if you want.
Just imagine I'm throwing a turtle, and that's like signifying the end of it. Someone's already named this one.
Yeah.